Hi, this is Basil Green speaking. Once again, I am your speaker on this podcast called The Breadbasket Show. And today I want to talk about a very, very important subject because we men cannot make it in this world without having this one part of life. Now, when Adam was created, God said afterwards, it's not good for man to be alone. Now I want to talk about, I've called this episode, How to Determine the Value of a Woman. You see, my subject today, it came from certain things, I've been listening to and hearing. The first is derived from a song. Now, I don't want to say the actual song, the words on this podcast, because I try not to use that language as much as possible. Basically, the idea is if women sleep with men, they will receive money. Then I saw an article about a woman complaining that she was making a certain celebrity sleep with her for free. And then one subject that I usually get into when people ask me why don't I want to pay lobola. Now in South Africa, we call it lobola. It's the price you pay for a woman when you want to get married. So the idea is that the man will go to the woman's family and ask her hand in marriage, and there will be negotiations where the guy will sit down and they will tell him this is how many cows. Let's just say the family will tell him that they want 10 cows for the female. I've never sat in one of these negotiations, so I'm just talking about things I've heard people say, people in the African tradition. But it's been said that the parents will say, okay, she's a virgin. She has been educated by us. She can do this, she can do that, she can clean, she cooks. She's a decent girl. Therefore, we want these 10 cows for this girl that we raised up. Now, I personally feel, this is my own opinion, and it's very difficult for me to move away from this thing, that a parent is supposed to do all of those things for their children. And they don't need to be rewarded for raising up their child. It's your job as a parent, if you're a parent, to send your child to university. It's your job to take care of your child. It's your job to teach your child how to cook and clean. And people say it's in the Bible and all that. Slavery is in the Bible. It's been abolished. Prostitution is in the Bible, and it was wrong that time. It's wrong this time. And many other things or in the Bible. That seemed right, but one of us is slavery. Now in Africa, we know Africans were taken as slaves by Europeans and by Asians. I know I was listening to a video the other time, a couple of days ago, about an African man by the name of Muhammad. And he was talking about how the Europeans came and taken Africans as slaves and given them European names and surnames. And doesn't speak of all dark-skinned people, but some are direct descendants. Some came about as a result of rape, and that's not a very good thing. And some were given the surnames. So it doesn't speak about all dark-skinned people, but the idea here I'm talking about is that Africans were also taken as slaves by also Arabs, the Muslim people, and they were given, and the religion was forced upon the Africans also, because they don't know. He never mentioned the slave trade where over 2 million African people were slaughtered as a result of this. But this is not the topic for this podcast. I'm just using that as an example. Now, the value of a woman, young woman, first you need to know your value at work. I saw a lady with a sweater, know your worth. All of these things have been triggering my desire to actually just speak about the subject. But I didn't know where to start. So I believe God has helped me this morning to just come in. That song, I've been hearing it for a while. And ladies, I personally feel you diminish your value when you basically say you're going to sleep with a man for money. And that's all he's probably going to see you as. But this is my own opinion. I know some of the guys will say this is the way the world operates, but not my world, because I am part of the kingdom of heaven. That world is created by Satan. That's the way he wants the world to operate. That's the system that he has created in order for men to live in. And then God has a different system where everybody is free. Everybody is free. All people are born free. So now I want to just touch a little bit more on the fact that the value placed on a woman, you can find it in the book of Ephesians. This speaks about husband and wife, where the Apostle Paul says, husbands, love your wives, as Christ loves the church. Now, how did Christ love the church? He gave himself up for the church. He sacrificed himself for the church. He took all the hits for us so that we can be set free. He gave his life. He was basically protecting the church from the wrath of God and from bondage of Satan. And he's still doing that now. His work, his life, he dedicated it so that the church can walk in freedom, can walk in power, can walk in security. All of those things are important. And then it says, wives, submit to your husbands as the church submits to Christ. But now Christ does not force submission upon the church. I know some of you will say, hey, this is a difficult thing for you to do because you're not married. But I understand who Jesus is. I've got a revelation, I believe, of who the Lord Jesus Christ is. And I am basing my understanding on my relationship with Jesus. Because Paul said, husbands, love your wives even as Christ loves the church. He made an example. So he gave something as a point of reference so that when the husband loses focus or he's seeing things happening in his marriage, he can look at Christ and see how much Christ loves the church and take some principles from the life of Jesus and he applies it in his own life. So the value placed on a woman must be determined by the value that Christ places on a human being. Because at the end of the day, a woman is just a human being also. When God made Adam, he said, he'll make a helpmeet for Adam. So the woman is there to help the man fulfill the mandate that God had placed on his life. So God spoke to Adam and he was given the instructions on how to govern the world, and his wife was there to help, a helpmeet, a helper. One woman even said she plays the role of the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit is also called the helper. Now, the Holy Spirit isn't a woman. The person was just making an example. And women are sensitive in spirit. So the Holy Spirit comes to guide us in the right direction. So their function is important. But I do not believe that a price should be like a rand value. Because I'm from South Africa, I'll say a rand value must be placed on a woman. Like she's worth 10 cows. If 10 cows and at a price of maybe 8,000 rand or 7,000, you'll say 70,000 rand. Now, I'm not diminishing the custom. I'm not diminishing anything that got to do with the culture. But I basically say that when my sister was asked by my brother-in-law to get married, he came and he asked my grandfather, hey, I want to pay lobola for your granddaughter. My grandfather said, hey, I don't believe in that. I don't exercise a custom, but if her mother wants to take her share, she can take it. And my mother said, okay, because my father paid lobola for my mother, being a daughter of a chief, so he had to do that. But I personally don't believe in it, because I believe that, hey, it's your child, and if I'm a working man and I want to provide, I'm going to actually provide for your daughter. But look out for part 2 of this, and I'll continue speaking on the subject.